Okay, so we have our background cloud here. Let's make sure we know how to get rid of it. You go to Format, Picture Tool, Remove Background. Okay, and then see how this does. All right, so it says mark areas to keep, mark areas to remove. This purple is what's marked, marking the areas to remove. Keep the changes. Look, now I have a pretty good cloud. So now I save that as a picture. Cloud. Okay. Go back into my code. New subclass, import file. Pictures, cloud. Now my cloud can come in. Compile. Cloud's a little bit too big. So we'll take the code that we have from our player and make it smaller, except the ground. Copy this, get image.scale. Okay, so we can make our clouds smaller, make more of them. Okay, create a constructor. Everyone's paying attention, right? Public cloud. Paste. We're not going to times the width. We're going to divide by 2 to make it smaller. The height could be divided by 3, I think, inside the parentheses. Okay, because that parentheses closes off the whole statement. Okay, compile. See what they look like. Might look weird. Maybe we'll have to switch it. Now it looks pretty good. Okay. Okay. So this is a pretty good area for the clouds. We will have them move left. Now what speed should the clouds be moving? In your opinion? Slow. Why? Yeah. Because they're far away. Move slow. So I'm going to do move -1, semicolon, compile. Okay, so we have our background clouds. Move a -1. What's the issue with them, potentially? When they hit the edge, they will what? They'll just stop. Okay, so let's add these clouds in and save the world. Okay. Okay, now what's another issue with these clouds if they're moving -1 is that if I just have them moving -1, then they will move. Even if you're moving the opposite direction, they'll keep moving right to left. We want it to look like the cloud is shifting with whichever player. You want the background to scroll with the player. So if the player is moving backwards, okay, we want the rest of the world to move backwards with him, right? Because we want the world to follow what the player is doing. So if Greenfoot dot is key down right. So if he's moving right, we want the clouds to move which way? Left, correct. So that's why they would move -1. Okay. We can do a quick copy, paste, 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 except, never mind, we don't need up and down. They will stay the same way, so we just need to do left and right. All right. Now let's take a look at how it looks. Okay. Now the clouds will move. Okay, now the object is still moving forward. Okay, so we don't technically have a scrolling background right now. Because now it looks weird because our platforms aren't moving. Our actual player is moving, and if I was better at this game, or I made it a little easier on myself. Okay, I could move all the way across the screen. We actually don't want that to be able to happen. We want the screen to the screen to move underneath us because we're doing a scrolling background. Okay, so we need to go to ground. That sweet game's still running. Okay, we need to go to our ground, and we need to put the speed of our player. We have a moving 4. So we're taking that move around out so he doesn't move side to side. We're pasting it in here, but we're switching it so it's the opposite. So now, if right is down, it'll move underneath us, -4. Okay. So, okay. Now we're going to make our platforms disappear when they hit the edge, obviously. So it doesn't make it get all scrunched up. But that's the start of our platform game. So if this is out here, instead of, he'll actually be traveling, and you can see how the clouds and the platform, it looks pretty good together, especially if we added more of a ground, if we added trees in the background, different things like that, moving -2 or -3 in between what the platform is and what the clouds are doing. You guys understand that? If you added trees, whoops, if you added nature, if you added some trees, that's not what I want, tree. Okay, a ton of trees. Okay, and you actually made it look better than what I'm doing right here. Okay, it's a forest of trees, a bunch of trees. Okay, you make a tree line, you make some mountains, something like that, like you've seen in the platform game. And then you have the trees move -2 and 2. They'll move a little faster than the clouds. They won't move as fast as the platforms. Okay, make sure that they're behind the platforms, not in front of the platform and the animal. But you can kind of see, if they were to rapid edge, it would look a lot better. Okay, so now we're going to figure out how to rapid edge. So go to your cloud. And now I will give you guys split screen, split window for you guys, so you guys can work on this while you're going. Yes. We will, not today. Okay, so you guys have a window you can move around and use. So now we go to our clouds. Okay, you guys can create some clouds. Or you can just create something else and then you can import the clouds at a later date. That's what I would do. Just use like a different object as of now, image as of now, and then you can import the clouds later. I'm not giving it. Okay. Good. Okay, so if you guys can follow along as best you can, remember, use the images that's not a cloud for your cloud for now, and then you can create your cloud in a second. Okay? So if you go to your cloud class, what do you think we need to do? How do we make it so the clouds can keep going? On and on and on. You can rapid edge, very good. Okay, but we're gonna do a special rapid edge, but yeah, we're gonna rapid edge. If get x, because we're finding the x value, we're wrapping at the left side, equals 0, what are we going to do? What do you think we should do? When we wrap at the left side, what should we do? Make it go to the right side, but I want it to, so we're going to set location. The X is going to be, no matter what your world is, if you do this, that will get your right side. Okay, so that'll get the width of your world minus 1. That'll be put in the X value. Okay, perfect. So that it'll go to the very edge of the world minus 1. So it'll go to the very right side. This is the best way to use the right side unless you have a standard static number that is not changing, that you know is the size of your world. Then you could just put in the number. And then for Y, we could, for the clouds, or for any of them really, we could just do get Y, but I don't like that. I want it to be randomly, get a random number between 36 and 30 and 200. Okay, that way the clouds will show up randomly, so it won't look like this cloud will show up in the exact same spot. The cloud will show up randomly along this Y, this Y area, this area up here. Okay, so between 30 and 200, how would we get it to show up randomly between 30 and 200? Greenfoot.getRandomNumber. Okay. Then what? This is tricky, guys. Random number. What number? What? 29. Okay. Alex says 29. What will that do, Alex? No. It'll get a random number between 0 and 29. That's not exactly what we want. We want a random number between 30 and 200. Okay? Okay, someone besides Alex, or Alex, I guess, say it a little louder. Anybody have an idea? Hold on, Nathan, go ahead, try. Alex already got the right answer, but he didn't say it loud enough. So. 170, why would you do 170? So you can add 30, what would that do? Correct. So you do a random number to 170, and then you add 30 to it. And what will that do? That will get you a number between 0 and 170, and then it'll add 30 to it. So essentially between 30 and 200 once that 30 is added. Okay, perfect. Okay, needs a semicolon. Okay. Oh, right and left. Okay. So now my clouds. Okay, move like clouds randomly. You can add other clouds in there. Okay, it's kind of cool. Okay, makes your background be randomized. Okay, so let's use this cloud code. Let's not reinvent the wheel here. So you copy the cloud code into the tree code. You paste it. You change this 170 and 30. Let's check out what we have in here. Okay. Just a general height. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so this looks like the highest tree there. 300, between 300. So we're going to plus 300, we know, to it. And then 300 to 710. So 300 to 710. How do we do that for the tree? We're going to plus, what? What did I say? We're going to plus 300, and then what is our random number going to be? 410. Exactly. Good job, David. Because you want to subtract the 300 from the 710, because this is automatically, this 300 will always be added to this 410 random number between 0 and 410. So if it happens to hit 410, you're going to also add 300 to it. That'll make 710. Okay, now we have, uh-oh, we messed something up. Trees are going on up here. I might not have compiled. Seems like they're doing what the clouds were doing. There we go. Okay, now we have trees. Look at that background. That's starting to look like a background. Okay, maybe your guys might be a little laggy. All right, more than a little laggy. Okay, now we're going to add another ground. We're going to hope that this works as well as I hope it does. We're going to make this 1088. And new. Background size. Oh, background is 1000. So we don't want that. We want it to be more like 1588. So if our background is 2000 wide, really wide. Okay, let's see if this works. Otherwise, we're gonna have to do a little editing, and I'll come back and teach you guys something else in a bit. Okay, now I want to save my world. Now I'm not sure that this is gonna work 100%, but I don't exactly see why it wouldn't. I might have to do a little editing to it that they did on the. I think I know what I need to do. But we might not be able to get to it today. So now I'm going to change mine back to 1000. So I saved my world. I added in some objects outside of the 2000, the 1000, but that doesn't seem like it worked. So for now, let's just do the same thing with the ground as we did with the trees. Okay, add in a few more ground layers. And there's a few things that you guys can do with this that is very cool. So now that we know how to kind of rapid edge and get a random placement of these platforms, what kind of games can you envision yourself playing with it? The platforms being able to be randomly located. Anybody think of a game, very popular game, very, very, very popular game a couple of years ago, 2 years ago probably? Just 2 years ago? Flappy Bird, right? So if you have 2 blocks, now this isn't the same setup as Flappy Bird, but it uses the same code that we have here. Okay, so it has 2 different objects. You have to go between these 2 blocks and flap your way along. Okay, you could use very similar code as the platform code where your guy is falling, your gravity, And you could have these two different blocks moving, and once they hit the edge, they could randomly wrap between. They could make a wide opening for them to the bird to flap above or below, or I guess below, in between. Okay, or they could randomly make it a little bit smaller, but you could make the parameters of that a certain amount so that it's always possible to flap through it. Okay, so that's kind of what I envision as one of our next couple of games, a Flappy Bird-like game. Okay, so let's finish up this ground and have the ground show up randomly. So I believe I've saved the world already, but I'm just going to do it just in case. Okay, we already have the code copied for the trees. So the ground, let's copy and paste this. Well, no we don't. I copied something else. All right. Go to the cloud, copy that, go back to the ground, paste that, if get x equals 0. So no matter what I change my width of the world to, it will always be there for me. And with a scrolling screen, what's great is I can make my world 3,000 wide, and the platforms will just come towards me. Okay, so it's nice to have that ability. All right, Greenfoot.getRandomNumber. Let's see what our numbers are that we need to get. So inspect between 689 and 350 and 700, we'll just say, make it even. So what are the numbers we need to put in here? Right, what do we need to add to it? Bueller. What do we need to add? Nobody gets that reference? Thank you, Hunter. Anybody else know what I'm joking about? Bueller. Okay. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, guys. Come on. Okay, there's a bored to death class and a bored to death teacher, and he's asking for someone to respond, and he goes, Bueller, and Bueller's not even in class. That's what I feel like. I feel like you guys aren't even in class right now. Be present. What do I need to add? What ground number do I need to add when I said my lowest number is going to be 350? What do I need to add? Hello, what do I need to add? Thank you, Sam. Plus 350. What does the random number need to be? 400 to make it 750 at the bottom. I think I said 700. So we'll do 350. And if that's wrong, then it'll be all right. So what's great is that I can change my world size, my background size, so many, to 5,000. Okay, and you can add in all these platforms. Okay, and all these platforms will just come to you. So you can make your world huge and only be able to see this much of it. And then you'll see, okay, I need to add a lot more trees, that's right. Okay, and then for some reason, he was falling immediately. But you can see that when I added those, you can add in for this long, and all of it will come to you. And then hopefully these will come back to you eventually. Okay. Okay, so now you guys will be creating your own. And we'll be starting on a Flappy Bird game soon enough.